You're not a bad looking shoe. Good morning, YouTube. I'm super excited for today's video, and that is because I'm giving you my full review of the Asics Glideride. If you didn't see my Hoka Carbon X full review and you're unfamiliar about how I structure my reviews, I go through the specs, then I go to the upper, the midsole, the outsole, and then I kind of give you my conclusion and rate the shoe out of 5 stars. So if it's the best shoe ever and I never want to take it off my foot, it's going to be 5 stars, and if it totally sucks, it's going to be 1 star. Then at the end, I throw up a screen with the pros and the cons, just so you guys can get a better idea of what I like and dislike. So without any further ado, let's get into the Asics Glideride. As I said in my first run impressions video of the Glideride, Asics is sort of a brand that's been playing it safe for a long time, and they haven't been doing a ton of innovative stuff. They have a loyal following, so why fix something if it ain't broke, right? Well, not necessarily. Sometimes it's good to step out of the box, and that's what the Glideride does for Asics. The shoe and I were unsure of each other at first, but after racking up a bunch of miles and run after run after run, I can say that I really like it. And I think it's exactly what the doctor ordered for Asics. So with all that said, let's get into the specs. This shoe is 9.1 ounces for a woman's size 8. Hefty little thing. With 35 millimeters of stack in the heel and 29 in the forefoot, making this shoe have a 6 millimeter drop. The upper is made of an engineered mesh, which Asics calls multi-directional, and this is supposed to improve ventilation and stability. I definitely think there's enough in this upper to provide a stable feeling, but as far as ventilation goes, I'm not too sure about that. It's a little thick in certain areas, and while the toe box feels thin and somewhat breathable, the rest of the upper feels bulky and a little bit high. As I said in my first run impressions video, I think there's a lot of stuff in this upper that could be gotten rid of to make this shoe feel lighter and also maybe less hot. There's a ton of padding in the back of the heel here and in the tongue, and that gives me personal anxiety. I never like a shoe with too much cushioning in the back of the heel that really beefed up. Here I am again saying beefed, but that like really thick padding in the back and the thick tongue, it's not really my thing, but I think if we got rid of some of that, it would reduce weight and it would reduce heat. The heel counter is pretty rigid with this plastic overlay, and I think that could be switched up a little bit. I'm not saying have absolutely no support in the heel and have this heel flopping around everywhere. That's not what I'm saying. But this seems a little bit extreme and like a little too rigid. Something is missing from this heel. What is it? What is it? Yeah, it's a pull tab. Get rid of this plastic heel thing and get a pull tab and we'll be golden. But that being said, I had no issues with blisters. I had no problems with hot spots, discomfort. So hey, I guess all that padding is good for something, right? And another great thing is that my laces stay tied on all of my runs, so I didn't have to stop and retie my shoe like I did with the Carbon X. This is where it gets super interesting. The midsole on the Glideride features 3 different components. First off, Asics is using their GuideSole technology, which if you can see here, and I'm sure you can, the shoe has a pretty intense curve upward. Because of this, the shoe is pretty stiff. I mean, I couldn't even move this if I tried. But it helps to promote a forefoot running stride and easier turnover. I've said in my other videos, I really like when shoe companies have a technology like this. Hoka has the Glideride, Skechers has M-Strike, and now Asics has GuideSole, and it works just the same, and it's something that I really appreciate. I will admit that on my first run, and you can see, I'll play the clip.
The shoes feel unnatural so far. That like curve upward, I definitely feel that, but I don't know if it's necessarily in a good way.
It did feel a little unnatural to me, and I didn't really like it at first, just because it's so different, and this curve upward, like I said in that video, is so drastic. It took a little bit of breaking in for me to really become one with the shoe. Once I did though, I felt awesome in it, and I'm all about the technology now. Don't write it off after the first few steps or the first run or whatever it is. This shoe does take a little bit of getting used to, and you should try to get used to it, because once you do it, it feels really nice. As far as the foam goes, Asics is using their Flytefoam technology. I actually really like Flytefoam. It's on the firmer side, but still very protective with some decent response. I could absolutely see this foam lasting a long time. It feels really durable. I have like over 50 miles in this shoe, and it feels just the same as when I first took it out of the box. Thumbs up for Flytefoam. And of course, because this is an Asics shoe, what do we have? Gel in the heel. I'll give you a close-up of that so you can see it better. You know, maybe this is a personal thing, but I don't feel this gel. And in my opinion, the shoe would function just the same without this gel, and I don't think it's really necessary. I personally think it just adds weight to the shoe, but Asics insists in putting this in for whatever reason. So, fine, okay, I don't personally feel it though. Let me know if you do. The outsole of the shoe is Asics Gripsole rubber. I took this shoe out on runs of all different types of conditions, wet roads, dry roads, old town roads. I know, bad joke, and I already used it, so stop. But I have to say, I did feel some slipping on wet pavement in this shoe. I tried to analyze, well, why could this be? It has a full length rubber situation going on here, which is different from a lot of the other shoes that I wear. And when I looked closely at the rubber, I could see that each of these little diamond looking cutouts here are pretty smooth with no real tread. And I think that's the problem. If they added some tread pattern within these little shapes, then I think it would feel a lot better on wet roads. And like I said in my first run impressions video, I still don't think we need rubber going the full length of this outsole. Again, like I said, because of Asics GuideSole technology, it's promoting a forefoot running stride. So you're really up in that forefoot, obviously, and a lot of this midfoot rubber isn't really needed. So Asics, I think that we could just keep the rubber in the forefoot, lose it in the midfoot, and keep it in the heel for some of those heel strikers out there. This shoe wasn't love at first run, but I have to say, I kind of love it now. I get excited to run in it, and that is saying a lot because I haven't felt that way about an Asics shoe in a really long time. As for a rating, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I know I gave the Hoka Carbon X 4 out of 5 stars the last time, but this one really deserves the 4 out of 5. This is a sturdy, innovative daily trainer that is definitely good to give you well over 300 miles, I would say. And when you want to pick up the pace, while it's not for that by any means, it still feels pretty good and solid. After long runs, my legs felt fresh. They didn't feel trashed. I didn't feel exhausted. They felt good, and that means that the GuideSole technology, which is what this shoe is really all about, is working. That being said, I don't think this shoe will be for everyone, and here's why. I think some runners might be put off in the beginning because of that strange sensation that the GuideSole provides at first, but if they give it a try, this could end up being a love affair. So now, as promised, I'm gonna throw up a screen with the pros and the cons just so you guys can see what I'm talking about without listening to me ranting and raving. As for pros, we have the GuideSole technology. It's durable, it's cushioned yet somewhat responsive, and has a protective ride. And Asics is getting innovative, which is the biggest pro of all. As for cons, we have the weight, the break-in period, and the traction on the outsole being kind of subpar. If the Glideride is any indication of what's to come in the future for Asics, I think we have a lot to be excited about. Who knows, maybe they'll be back on top. Well guys, that concludes my full review of the Asics Glideride. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around to the end of this video. I do have some other reviews and videos coming up soon. I have a first run impressions video of the New Balance 1080 V10, which I am super excited to run in, and it was really hard to not do that video first. Again guys, thanks for watching, and in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like Heller. I'll see you next time. If the Glideride is